developer developer already 4 years, and I'm working with React mainly. So I don't like to talk about myself much more. So I will share my screen now, and we'll start. Do you see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, it's good. So I have made a pretty simple React application. I want to go through all these topics. Uh, I'm not huge fan of slides, and that's why I made the application so that we can also see the source code for this, how this application made, and how these things are working. So let's get started. So first of all, what is React? Yeah, we all know that React is a JavaScript library. So React is declarative. This means that we never touch the actual DOM. Only we are updating UI when we change a state. So that means that components in React, not that means, but components in React are encapsulated, and they are JavaScript functions. And the components accept attribute inputs and return React elements. So everything you see here is React element as well. So how can we create a React application? There are a couple of ways. And this application is made with Create React App. I will show you in a minute how we can do it. And there are some other ways, like we can do it ourselves. And there are also CDN, and we can use a CDN as well. So how I did this application, you can you have Node.js to installed to do this. So we can see the desktop, and we can do like this: npm install create react app and my app, for example. And if you tap enter, it will create a React application, and this will look like this. Not like this. I have a couple of folders edits there, but yeah, pretty same. But this create React app is not always good, because it is good when we create a little applications like this, small applications. It is really good, but when you have a complex applications like complex logic there, and it's not good actually. One main thing is that if you use npx create react app, you can't do server-side renders there. So you have to do it manually. You have to configure Babel, Webpack configuration, and etc. So this time I have created with Create React App. So let's see what is how the React components are look like. Everything you see here are React components, but let's see what this particular element, particular component look like in source code of this. You see that it says, "Hi, I'm a React component, and we are creating React component." React component should always. Oh, yeah. I forgot to say that we have two types of React components. There are classes and functional components. I like functional components, so I will go through the functional components because I see classes are a bit deprecated, and before React 60.8, there was functional components was only used for dummy components, because you cannot you did not had states there. But after that 60.8, React have hooks, so we can use hooks, and we can use full power of React in functional components. So I go with functional components. So this component, you see that we are saying this is a React component, and we are saying to return create React element, create element h1 hi IAM component. This null is for props. You might think that is this a way how we can do the React components? And the answer is yes, you should. But I'm joking. I'm joking. No, you should not. You don't need to every time return, create React element. We can do it like this, for example. H1. Oh, okay. Here, H1 means the element. Null is for props, and HiIM React component is the string or child of this element. So we can delete this, and we can simply say I am React component, and it's the same. Yeah, but you might think that how can you return HTML in JavaScript? How can you write HTML in JavaScript? But this is not HTML actually. This is a JSX. It's called the JSX. And what is JSX? JSX is syntax extension for JavaScript. And let's see what this look like. So JavaScript, this JSX is actually synthetic sugar for create React app. So when we are saying this, we have bubble configurations there, and it will actually recreates it. This is a JavaScript function actually, and it will recreate it like JavaScript functions. This H1, for example. Yeah. So we can see this if we want in Bible how this look like. For example, this div hello. This is a React component as well. That bubble will recreate this like React create element. So this is just for us to make our lives easier. And if we console log the React element, it is an object like this. It has a type of, it has a key, it has a prop and ref and type h1. And how is React working, for example? Let's say React DOM has a render method, and in render method we have to pass our component here. Don't look this. This is just a browser. I will cover this in the next lectures, not this one. And imagine we have only app here, and then we have a we are selecting this root element, and we have root element here. Yeah, when you run the React Create app, it will do it itself. So you don't need to do this yourself. So what this app looks like? This app is rendering also some content wrapper, some sidebar component, and this sidebar component is this sidebar and the pages. So this render method creates React 3. So what is React 3? Let's see. React 3 is the object like this, like nested objects here. So, but the thing is how React updates the DOM. For example, when we change something, when how React updates the UI. So there is when the render function runs, it is a render function creates a tree of React elements. So on the next change, props update, and render function will return a different tree of React elements. So we have React have a virtual DOM, and so when render function runs, React creates its virtual DOM. It's not actual. It is a copy of actual DOM. And when you update something, it compares, it will copy the copied virtual DOM, it will compares that virtual DOM, and it only updates what is changed. So for example here, how does this virtual DOM work? Data changes, the entire UI is re-rendered in virtual DOM representation, and React computes difference between the previous DOM representation, and imagine these two are React trees. React trees. This is a virtual DOM, and this is a real DOM. React. Yeah, now React sees that there is a change, and it will update only these trees, not the whole application. This is why React is fast. So imagine if we are re-rendering the whole application, it will be slow. So it is how React is updating the DOM. So we say that it updates only the particular element, not the whole application. But how is React doing that? So, for example, if we have different type elements in this example, we have a div, and we have div element, we have a counter component inside it, and if we change this div to for example span, we are changing this parent element, so it will removes this whole div element. It will unmount this component as well. It will delete it from the DOM, and it will remount again. So this is for different type elements. But if we have the same type elements, for example here, if we have div and we are changing only the class name here, for example, it was before, and if we are changing it to after, it will not React will not delete this from the DOM and will not unmount it from the component. It only updates this class name. It sees that, yeah, I see that, for example, after re-render, it sees that we had in virtual DOM, we had this div. Yeah, this div has a class name. Yeah, okay, we have this div. It is still there. We have a class name. It is still there. Oh, class name is changed, so it will update only this div. It will not remove it from the DOM, just updates. So if we have list, for example, here, we have if we have the list of elements in UL, for example, here, and we are adding an element, for example, the third, it will React will compares like this. We have UL, yeah, we still have UL, it's the same. We have a list, it has a first, it's the same. We have a list, it has a second, it's the same as well. And it sees that it has like a third element. Oh, okay, it will add this third element again. That is how React works. So, but if we add this element bottom, it is okay. Yeah, React will works well. But there is a problem if we add this element as a top of this list. For example, here we add this third, but here is a connection. We are adding top of this element. So what will happen? React will compare this UL first. Yeah, okay, it's the same. This will also see that there is a list. In this example, it will actually it will work, but it will have problem in some cases, and I will show you later what's happening there. So in this example, so what can we do the situations like this? How can we fix this problem? Like I will show you what problem it has. We have the attribute names, a special attribute. It's a key. If we have lists, we have to provide keys like this, and key should be unique. It should be different than others. So now React will not compare these lists for this list like this. It will compare with this key element. So now React sees that before we had in the first place we had key 2050. Now we had key with key 2040. So it is easier for React to add this element at top of the top of this. So first element before it was 2050. Now it is 2040. So I will show you now what problem it may cause. Look at this. We have some button here. We have label here. We have input. So if we remove something from the bottom, it is okay. Yeah, and we can add items. But if we remove it top of it, it will have problem. Did you notice it? It says orange, apple, grape, orange. Something is wrong here, right? So I will show the source code for it. Here, yeah. So what this component is looking like. It might be confusing for the first time, but I will still explain it, and I will push this whole application to GitHub. And when you feel more confident in React, you can get back to this and fully understand what's happening here. But I want to still cover this topic because this is really important. And also, if you keep working with React, you will see this warning pretty much time, I will promise you. And you cannot avoid this. You have to, yeah, application might work, but when you see this error, each child in a list should have a unique key prop, you should fix it. And it's very, very important. And if you don't fix it correctly, it might lead very, very big, huge bugs. So, well, what's happening here? Let's consider this component. We have a state here. I know you don't know this state, but this is just a state. It's items. It's a list of items. This array of items. So with this function, we are adding items, and with this function, we are removing items. We have an add button here. We are adding items, and also here we have a list of items. We are this is how we are rendering a list of items in React. We can map it and return the list. And here we have a button, a label, and input. And so what's happening here? Why we have this problem? We don't have key prop here, so when we are removing it from the bottom, yeah, it is okay. But when we are removing from the top, there is a bug. Okay, so why it has a bug? React compares first list. So we have a list of items here. This has a ID and value apple. We have an input, and input default value is item value, and we have a label here, and it is also the value. So on the first render, React says, I mean, when we re-render this component, React says, yeah, it is a list still here. Yeah, okay, on the first place, on the first list item is still list. We have a button, but when you happens when you remove here, remove this first item, we are removing from the state this item, so it will reruns the whole code, but now without an apple like this to imagine. Now we have deleted this, and so first item is list, okay. Then we have a button. Okay, it's still same. We have a label. It's item value. So the on the first render, the value was apple, but we have deleted this. So now the first item is orange, right? So we have orange here and we have input here. So React, when React compares element, it don't care this default value. It does not update this default value itself. So this it will stays. So the old one, but this node it will update this item value. So the previous default value for input was apple, so it stays apple, but the label updates and it is orange. So that is why we have orange apple. So this apple stays like it was before, but orange updates. So how can we fix this? uh, 1 minute. Yeah, how can we fix this? If we provide the unique key prop here, now let's see what happens. Now it is working. Like we get rid this error, and also this is working. Why is this happening? So if we now it compares with the key. So now React sees that this item, this with ID A, when we remove this first item on the second re-render, it sees that this list with the key prop A is deleted. So it will not render this. So it will delete this first list item and renders the others. That is how why is this so important. And another case, for example, here. This is for lists, but it is key. Sometimes is very important for single elements. So when we don't have lists, it might be really, really useful, and I will show you. Now we have here we have a code. I will show. This is this concat is this element, and what's happening here? We have a form. We have a label topic. We have a select, the first select like training consulting, and we have a subject, and we have an input and the label. So what's happening here? Uh, this is an input. So input's default value is the default values topic. This one. And the topic. So when we change a topic here, we are changing topic on change. So when we change this, it seems like it should update the subject, right? Because we are changing topic here. So first it is training, and when we change it to, for example, consulting, this should update as well, right? But it won't. So what, like you will see. You see, subject is not updating, questions is not updating, training is not updating. So this is happening because, as I said, React Virtual DOM does not care about the input's default value. So it's when it compares, so when we change something like with onChange, it updates this topic, it re-renders the whole component, it will compare it, but when it comes in this input, it does not update this default value. So because it says, yeah, this input is still here. Okay, so I won't touch it. So how can we fix it? Like if we add the key prop here again, topic. If we what will happen is that when this topic changes, it will unmount, delete this whole input, and it will re-render this input again. It will unmount and remount it. When we have key prop, React will unmount this element when this key changes and remounts it. It will not change it. It will just deletes it from the DOM and from the React tree and remount it again. Now we have fixed this like with a key prop, and this is like I know it might be a little bit complex for the first time to see stuff like this, but as I said, when you feel confident, you can get back to this. And uh, I want to say that this key prop is really, really important. First, when I started React, I said, yeah, okay, it is a key prop. Yeah, it's nothing. I have error here, but this application is still working. But in some cases, it might lead really, really huge bugs. Okay, so let's talk about React props. What is React props? Here we have a component. I call this props, and we are saying hello rolling scopes, but sorry, how are we doing it? We have a div and we have another component, React component here, and we have a prop name equals to rolling scopes. We are passing these props, and we can get this prop from the child component, and we can render it like this. So if we console log these props, we will see object and name rolling scopes. And we can say hello props name. That's it. This is how we React props is working. We can also add another prop, for example, and equal to Google, for example. And if we console log it, you will see that we have name rolling scopes and another prop Google. Yeah. And also in prop we can have, I will uncomment this and I will uncomment this as well. So if we have in child component, we imagine we have made a child component, and we can in props we can have these children. This is this structure. This is same as props children. Yeah, I guess we know this. And if we wrap this children, in this case is this paragraph, if we wrap like this, so we can get props children. Like I will show you in a minute. Now let's see. You see, oh, we can have children here. This is a built-in props. So yeah, we have, I showed you that object like type of, this is React component. Yeah. Key with prop. You see that we have all, this says props children equals to I am content of the child component. Yeah, like this. And this type is P paragraph. Yeah, this is how easily React props is working. So, this most important part of React is hooks. I mean that in functional React, most important part is hooks. So, what is hooks? Uh, Hooks are new addition in React after in React 60.8, and hooks let us use state and other React features without writing a class. So and we have some rules in hooks. Rules can be only call hooks at the top level. So don't call hooks inside loops, conditions, or nested functions. Always use hooks at the top level of your React functions before any early returns. So also another rule is only call hooks from React functions. So don't call hooks from regular JavaScript functions. Instead, you can call hooks from React function components, call hooks from call hooks from custom hooks. I will show you later this as well. And custom hooks name should always start with use, so that you can tell hooks tell at glance that rules of hooks apply to it. So we will hint React that this is a hook, so it will apply all the rules what we have set. So what is these hooks? Uh, let's uh, we have a bunch of hooks here, like we have 3 more hooks, but I won't cover it in this lecture. But this is very fundamental hook, so I want to go through this. Let's consider this UseEffect. What is UseEffect? I know that I don't have anything here, but I have in source code, so I will show you if I find it. I don't see it. Where is that? Okay, I find it. I will comment this out first. UseEffect is like lifecycle hook. Like every time this this React component runs, in this case, UseEffect will run as well. So you will see this if we inspect it. Yeah, it runs. But if we console log something like outside of UseEffect, you might think that how this console log will, this both console log will run. You might think that first we'll run this UseEffect and then outside of UseEffect, but no. First run outside of UseEffect and then UseEffect. And why is this happening? This is not normal JavaScript function, right? This is actually, but it is a React component. So the UseEffect is asynchronous. So it runs after browser paints the DOM. So it runs like very last, like when everything happens, then UseEffect will run. So this is asynchronous. So so that means that we can have we can fetch data here. We can make some asynchronous tasks here. We can have event listeners here. We can have loops, timers, and everything inside here. We can't fetch data outside of UseEffect because React components, for example, this is synchronous, so we can do it. We should do asynchronous tasks inside UseEffect. So if I delete this and uncomment this, you see that we have asynchronous event listener here on mouse up, and on mouse up we are doing we are console logging this event fired. So, but okay, first of all, let's remove this return. Also remove this. What will happen now? So we are adding the event listener, but in UseEffect, and when we are clicking, yeah, event is fired. But when we go to, for example, another component, this event listener is still here. So why is this happening? Because we are defining this event listener to window, right? So this means that when this component unmounts from the DOM, we want to clean up this event listener. So UseEffect can have this callback function. So when we can say that return callback function and remove event listener. So this callback function will run when we unmount the component. So this means that here, okay, I still have it. I'm doing something wrong actually. Yeah, it is working now. I'm clicking it and this event is not fired. So if we don't do, if we all know that we have to clean up these event listeners, because if we don't do it every time we open this, it will add another new event listener, and we will have memory leaks there. So also UseEffect has this callback function, and also first argument is a callback function, and another argument is dependency list. So what means a dependency list? Dependency list should be an array, and so if we have empty array, this UseEffect will run only once, only first render. And if we update state or re-render this function, it won't run. So, for example, okay, I will cover it later. So if we have some probe here, for example, probes like data, and if we put this data in dependency list, this UseEffect will reruns only when this probe data changes. As other probe data changes. Otherwise, it only runs on first render when component mounts. Yeah, that is a UseEffect. I have some errors here. Okay, yeah, okay. So for this state management in React, we have three hooks. This first is very simple and very essential. It's called useState, and you will use it many times, I guess. So what does useState look like? So I will close these tabs. So when you click items, yeah, we are seeing that DOM is updating. Yeah, but how are we doing this? UseState is a React hook that returns data and a set state function, or we can call whatever we want here. Like we are saying set count, we may call like anything else. So here we have count data, and on click we are saying that set count equals to set count plus 1. So we are updating this count. And also imagine that like this. Imagine that we want to set count plus 1, set count plus 1. What will happen? So we might think that it will add now not 1 on button click, it should add 2, right? So because we are saying set count 2 times. Let's see what will happen. No, it is actually adding only 1. This happens because when we click it, this is because of closure. So this increment function and set count function as well saves the previous data. So the previous data is 0 again here as well, and it will so 0 plus 1 is 1 as well. So here it says it is 1 and it is 1 again. So in this case, this setCount function accepts a callback function, and callback function is have an argument previous, and we can say previous plus 1. Now it is updating every time I click by 2. So hopefully you understand this, but yeah, that is useState. Also, useState have another dependency list. So this means that, for example, if we have some prop here, and if we are setting prop in state, this useState only changes when this prop changes. So if on every re-render, when we re-render this component, this useState will only change when the prop, if the prop is changed. So yeah, this is the same as UseEffect dependency list. Yeah. Then we have first we need to cover this UseReducer. UseReducer is also the state management hook. So in UseReducer, we have, let's consider this. So we are defining the initial state. It is an object with property count 0. We have a reducer. In reducer accepts 2 arguments, state and action. And we have switch cases here with action type. If it's increment, return count state plus increment. And if decrement, it's state count minus 1. So in UseReducer, we are saying that UseReducer returns state and dispatch array of it, so we are destructuring it like in useState. And UseReducer accepts this reducer, what we have defined here, and initial state. So it is so on button click. Let's click it. We are incrementing this count and we are decrementing it. So we are saying that on click we have a callback function here, and we are and dispatch accepts our object. Object type is decrement. So this means that this dispatch argument is this second action argument. So action type is increment. We are saying like this, and we are returning the state. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, actually. So also we can give it like action payload and some stuff, some other stuff. For example, if we want should be 5, for example, and if we want, this is decrement actually. Yeah, okay. 1 minute. Now we are this argument is this action argument, so we can pass whatever we want here. So on increment, if we want to increment every time with 5, we can have payload here, and the previous state plus action payload. So this is 5 now. It will increment with 5. So like this. Yeah. Also this UseReducer have some how it's called uh, performance. Yeah, it is good for performance than the use state, for example, because imagine we have we might say that use state and use reducer is the same because it looks like same, but when we use for example, when should we use state and when we should use reducer. I don't have any like exact answer of this, but answer for this, but I'm using UseReducer if I have some complex data and I need to change. I have some conditions and stuff like this. And if I have like simple data like this, for example, I'm using use state. But and also use reducer, as we said, has like it is better for performance. We are saying this that, for example, if we want to do like if we have like switch cases like this, and we are doing it with use state, we have to do it inside this component, right? Because we don't have a reducer here, we can't do it outside of this. So we have to define it here in the component. So every re-render, we are making new instance of this function, for example. And in UseReducer, we are defining it outside of our component. Yeah, and now, but yeah, we might say that yes, we have these two state management hooks, but how can we pass data like for example, if we have child here, child component in this, for example, if we have child component, we can pass data with props, right? We can say data equals state, what I'm doing, like this. It has error because we don't have any child component. We can say like this. We can pass our state to child, but how can we do it with, for example, if we have state in UseReducer and we want it in use state? How can we do it? They are not child of each other, for example, or parent. They are cross components, right? So there is a way to do it, and we have hook UseContext. Let's see what this hook look like. I made it separately. We have a folder providers. This is how I'm doing it. And so what is context? Uh, we are defining variable because it's common context. We are how are we creating the context? This is we have to import React from React, and React has a method called create context. So we can have we can have like, or we have to define a React component, and this common context we have common context has a provider, and uh, do you remember here we had children in previous component. So we can have argument children here. And now we have created context, and then we are using context. So use commons, I have called it common context. And this use common is a callback function which returns use context. And in React use context, we are passing that context what we have created here. So, and we are exporting common providers, this component, and use commons. So we can now wrap this common from provider. I will show you. So, or how can we share data? So we can copy our component and wrap our component with this component, like common provider. I have wrapped all of these components, and when we wrap it, we are saying that these children, that means that, sorry, that means that these components are these children. So this means that common context is wrapping all our pages components, these components. So that means that we can have this state throughout all, like all these components, and I will show you in a second. So this common context provider have the value argument, and which can be in this example it is an object which accepts our state and set state. And so how can we get this state in our context? For example, here, for example, we can say that from here we are importing common provider and use common. Use commons is this React use context. So how are we getting this? We this is a custom custom hook. So we are saying we are importing this use commons, and use commons return state and set state. So here and it returns these values what we are passing here. So state and set state. And in use context, when we click here, it increments it. So this logic, what we have in common provider, is working for use context component. And we can have this state as well in other components. For example, in use state. So this is a cross component, right? This is a use context, and this is a use state. And we can say the same here. Import use commons, and we don't need the set state, we only need the state, and this is context count. And if we increment it in use context, and if we say this is a 10, right? And if we go to use state, we can still see this data. It is 10. So yeah, we can have multiple providers, and it will work throughout the whole application. Like if we wrap this child component, this will work for all of these childs. If we may have it little deeper, like little outer, maybe we can have this in index even. You can have this here, and it will work with whole application. Yeah, this is how context is working, and also we can use this context, and also for cross-component state management. You can use Redux. It is more complex, and it's not easy like this context, React context, but yeah, it depends on project. Like if you have some complex data, you might use Redux. But if you have like simple things like this, use context is really great. So also we have we left like two hooks. There are use callback. So what is this use callback? Here, for example, first of all, I wanna explain what this React memo means. So when we are here in use callback, we have a div, we have a paragraph, and we have this hello component. So every time this component re-renders, let's get here, like let's console log use callback. Every time this component re-renders, this hello will re-render as well because it is this child. So yeah, I have the console log here. So let's see this. Console log this. It says use callback render hello, and if we update the state, it still says use callback render hello. But how can we prevent it? Like if we this is unnecessary, right? Because in hello we only have button and it never changes. It is still the same, so we don't need to re-render this hello like every time. So because yeah, so how can we do it? We can say we have a method. It's called Memo. It's a React Memo, and this means that we are saying here that only update this component when if the prop changes. So if this, in this case, if this increment changes. So here we have this increment, and it is changing every time because when this use callback runs and we click on count, this new instance of this set count is changing. So this is reference, right? So this reference is recreating every time. So how can we prevent it? For this case we have hook called use callback, and I will show you in a minute what is use callback is doing. Increment use callback accepts callback function. We can put this set state here, and in. What problem we have here? I guess we don't have any problem. Oh, okay. Okay. So this use callback is the UseEffect, and UseEffect and useState has dependency array here as well. So if we put empty array, this means that this UseEffect runs only once when use callback only first render. So this means that what is use callback is doing? It is returning every time the same callback. It never changes. It only changes if we put some prop here, for example, and if this prop change, for example, if we put count here, this count is changing, right? So it will update this use callback. So it is doing memoization. So it is memorize this set count method, and it is returning every time the same reference. So now this increment never changes, right? It stays it stays every time what it was in first render. So if we now refresh this, we are saying render hello, we are seeing that this hello, but when we increment it, you see this component is not re-rendering anymore. So because we are memoizing this set state function, and every time this is the same. So, and we are saying here that re-render this component only when increment change. So this increment never changes because we are returning it from use callback. This is very simple use case for use callback, and it will help you many times. I promise you. And we have use callback and we also have use memo. So I will show you. It is actually the same. Only difference is that use callback is returning the callback function and use memo returns a value. And I will show you how. React memo is different and use memo is different. Okay, let's go to use memo. What are we doing here? We have this function compute longest word. This we are passing an array of strings. I will show you. I'm fetching the data from here, and I will show you this custom hook as well after this. Just imagine we are fetching something here, and I will show you what this looks like. This is a array, and this is an array of strings. So this function computing the longest word from this array. And then this data, and we are running this function here. And what is the problem here, right? If you see, I have console log compute longest word here in this function, and we are running this function here. And we are passing this data and this computes, and it will update the state. If we see this, if we open the console log, and if we also I forgot to say, we have the count here, and we have the state. So when we click this, we are updating the state, and when we are running this set state, I forgot very important thing. That's when we run this set state or set count from UseState, it re-renders the React component. So on click, when we are saying set count, we are re-rendering this use memo component. So that means that we are rerunning this compute longest word as well. So if we click on increment, it says compute longest word like 8 times, but we don't need it, right? Because this word, what we are getting from this function, is never changes, right? So we don't need to rerun this function every time, right? We don't need it because the actual data and actual UI stays the same. So we are doing like extra job here, and we are rerunning this function every time. So how can we fix it? As in use callback, we have as well use memo. So we can say longest word equals use memo, and use memo returns compute longest word data, and we have this dependency array list here as well, and we can say that only rerun this compute longest word if this data changes, because this is some API, so there might be like new strings here, so it might be a longest word. So we have to update it if this data changes. So we can put this data here, and now if we on the first render, this function will run, but if we rerun our component, it won't. It only up in this case, like if we do this, if we use a use memo here, only reruns use memo if this data will change. Yeah, this is there are a couple of hooks are left. There is the use imperative handle, use ref, and use layout effect, but I won't cover it in this lecture. I want to show you one more thing. We have this is a built-in hooks, but we also can have this custom hooks, and I will show you what here is. This use fetch is a custom hook, and let's see what this is look like. We have a state here, so use state. We are using use state here. We have data here. On first render, this data is null and loading is true. Now I will explain what this UseEffect is doing in a minute. First, let's see what this UseEffect is doing. This is first. This is changing our state and setting it to true. This loading. Then we are fetching some URL what we are passing as data. And when we have data here, we are setting the state. So this is a custom hook, but what is this is current is doing? This is because imagine where we was use memo. Where is this use memo? Imagine that here here we are fetching the data right away when we render this component, right? When React mounts this component, but the data might late. So when we are, if we do it fast, data fetch cannot catch up. So we are still if we are still setting the state. So what we are saying here is that we are defining some variable here. We are saying that this is true first, and if we unmount component, we are saying this is current is false. So here we are not setting state if this is current is false. So if we as we said, this runs when component unmount. So if we go here and then change the component again, uh, this is current becomes false. So it won't set the state again. If we don't do it like this, we can have possible memory leak here, because if we remove this, if we remove this, and if the data lates, we are setting the state when the component is unmounted already. So it will show an error. If maybe I can show you, I will try it. If we go to memory, not memory, network, and slow. One minute. Oh, somehow it is fetching immediately. So if it lates, and if we switch it back fast, this set state will run in unmounted component already. So it will show an error, and it is a memory leak. So that is why we are doing like this. And this is a custom hook as well. This is one of custom hooks. We can do whatever we want here in custom hooks. Like other things, like we can do like set timeouts and everything. Like we can do whatever we want. Just we have some rules that it should be started with use to apply the rule hooks of rule. And yeah, that's it. Yeah, for today. Hopefully, I wasn't too bad and you understand what I have explained. Yeah, that's it, Hannah.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Can you share this project with us, like that we
Yeah,
can?
yeah, sure. I will push it to GitHub, and I will give you the link of this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for this lecture.
Thank you too.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Thank you, Hannah.